All right, I'm legally changing my name to this PSP game title, Yummy Yummy Cooking Jam.
I mean, that's pretty good, but does it beat the one that I accidentally came up with on stream last night, President of King?
Very good.
Nice.
That's my favorite now.
I did not realize they followed up Young Sheldon with Young Thor. I know, right?
I'm sure
It's apparently a game.
I'm sure it's absolutely brilliant. I bet Thor goes like, "Hey, bazinga," and then like he shoots a lightning bolt.
Yeah. Then he circumcises somebody with the hammer.
Yeah, bazingo. That's what you say when you do that. You can't say bazinga when you do that. You have to say bazingo.
That's right. When I was 8 days old and they had my breasts, the rabbi came in, snipped my foreskin off, and said, "Bazingo."
Yeah, that's how it works. Listen, that it's a beautiful tradition, and how dare you come in here with this?
Sir, I have the VHS of them videotaping my breasts. It is not a beautiful tradition.
Oh yeah, well,
And why they videotaped it, I do not know.
yeah, well, I'll be the judge of that.
Okay, so I'm gonna start streaming in just 1 second, just to prepare you guys so you don't accidentally say boner.
Boner. I will deliberately say boner.
Hard,
You don't tell me what.
throbbing penis.
I think how that was the first thing I thought of as being like too taboo for the internet.
Young
Yeah, how
Thor.
My God, bazingo.
It's da 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 da. This is the music of Star Trek TNG.
But it's also the theme of the first movie that's the motion picture. People say that it sucked, but I think it was pretty good. Sure,
I
that
still like
was a
Generations
bit
more.
of-
I am the blasphemous
God.
motherfucker that likes Generations because I am an adorer of fan fiction, and that's literally all it is.
I mean, I kind of...
Yeah, well,
It has
did you know...
fun moments, so...
It does, especially with Whoopi Goldberg on the carousel horse.
Wait, I do not remember that.
Bill Shatner was so fucking mad about the fact that they made him make Kirk be dead, that he wrote a follow-up novel in which Kirk just kind of digs his way out of the shallow grave, because of course he's not actually dead, and then has to go save the universe and save Captain Picard's life, because I'll show you, you old bald fucker, I'm the best.
I mean, the writers did give him the best dying word. Oh. He literally just says, "oh," and then dies.
I mean, that's what I would say if I was going to die.
I would have said, "oh no," at least.
No, my last word is just gonna be, whoop.
I mean, if it was me, being realistic, I'd probably be like, whoopsie doodles, and then...
Bazingo, dead.
Yeah, bazingo, yes.
Good evening.
Good evening. So
I'm sorry. Let me say it in your native Canadian tongue. Bazingo.
Bazingo.
What is happening?
No, for a greeting it has to be bazinga. Excuse me. Bazingo is only for the briss.
Oh my god. So are we dealing with masculine and feminine in the noun?
Yes!
Verb?
Yes, we are! Listen, ancient Sheldonese is a very beautiful language.
Canada was founded in 1872 when Jean-Francois
I think the best part of that to me is that none of it wasn't even called none of it until the 90s.
Well, yeah, because they didn't know what it was, and then they found out and they said they're having Nunavut. I know,
Oh my
I'm the worst.
God.
You see what we have to deal with?
For when we went live.
Please tell me you just happened to have that horn next to your desk.
Who fucking honked it? Did somebody...
Yes.
Excuse me, the light is red.
Yes,
did
I
somebody
did.
just honk it? It's like that episode of Aqua Teen.
Listen, I am a streamer of the greatest kind. Everybody knows that prop comedy is the top tier, obviously. That's why everyone likes Carrot Top and Gallagher so much.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
you know.
All right, so you guys ready to get started?
Sorry, I'm busy looking for my own fucking clown horn.
Oh, we're going to clown off? Is that it?
Yeah, we're gonna set this to not intended for younger audiences and have a clown off.
Welcome to Wiki Sift. Sorry, I just heard a noise, and I don't know what it was, and it threw me off, and I thought, do I have to start over? And apparently I do. Stevo, something you care to share with class?
I said tea.
You said what?
I said tee, and that's what threw you off.
I couldn't even hear what you were saying. I just heard some sort of sound, and I'm hard of hearing in one ear, and I was like, did
60
something...
years from now, when you are unfortunately shuffled off this mortal coil, I will release the Stevo cuts of Wiki Sift that have me keeping this 57 minutes of filler at the beginning.
You're confident that you're gonna be the one outliving me. So, alright, let's start over. Welcome to Wiki Sift, a shallow dive into pop culture and fandom. Today we're talking about Star Trek novels. I am Tom, he's an evil genius white, and today I am joined by...
I'm Stevo, I'm the host of Friday Night Fanfiction. On Twitter you can find me at StevoFNF. I sometimes post funny things, and I am sometimes funny. This is my life legacy.
I am Ian M. Burton, millionaire gadabout in name only. I am the director of the project for Ken's Labyrinth 2. You can find that on Twitter at Ken's Labyrinth 2. That's 2 I's, not the number. I'm also known as the guy who did the swearing of cuss words in Brutal Doom, and I stream on Twitch on the weekends, Fridays through Sundays, around, well, let's be fair, between 9 and 10 Eastern, because depression is a bitch.
Also, holy shit, Steven Seagal has 7 kids.
Okay, we're gonna do Steven Seagal in a different episode, so save it for...
Which Star Trek novel was the one where Steven Seagal was in it?
Why wasn't Steven Seagal replacing Eric Bana in the new Star Trek? That would have been so much better.
Mr. Spock, we have to go through the Guardian forever and head back into the 90s to meet Steven Seagal. He's the only one who can help us save the universe.
Sir, our teleporter is malfunctioning.
Captain.
And Steven Seagal keto kicks the crap out of it, and suddenly it's working again.
It's quite possible, given the sheer number of Star Trek novels, that Steven Seagal is in one of them. But here, let me explain for anyone who's coming in at episode 3 and doesn't know what this is all about. What this whole show is about is taking a peek at obscure and ridiculous trivia from fandoms that we do not participate in. Because I could read all 181 Doc Savage pulp novels, but I'd rather just skim through blurbs on Wikipedia until I find the words Vikings attack a luxury yacht off New York while invisible killers commit murder with alarm clocks.
Thank you very much for making sure that everybody knows I am in fact not a fan of Steven Seagal.
So that was
he's
issue
gonna find
number
you.
29 out of 181. Doc Savage didn't wait until 150 issues before it jumped the shark. Doc Savage was born already in mid-jump over its second shark. But today specifically, we're talking about Star Trek novels. I thought there was a lot of Star Trek novels, but when I looked into it, there's more than 850.
And this is official Star Trek novels.
There are over 850 official Star Trek novels. Now, this includes original novels.
I just wanted to make sure they're not, like, sold in a Bulgarian mini mall Star Trek novels.
I'm sure some of them are.
Well, I meant, like, these are fully licensed.
You want Star Trek novel? I go on fanfiction.net, I compile into book, I sell it to you out of back of van. What do you say?
We literally read a Star Trek fanfiction that had Spock and Kirk as woodpeckers, and the person who wrote it said that it was animalistically accurate.
Anyway,
that sounds like a cereal slogan.
No,
it's animalistically accurate!
No, of course, these 850 include original novels, but also short story collections, episode and film novelizations, and omnibus and whatnot. But there's still a staggering number, so this is not going to be a one-off. This is going to be a multiple episode endeavor. I don't know how many episodes, but there's a lot to cover, and we're going to chip away at it a little bit at a time. So this is what you have to look forward to for the next year, I guess.
Wait, why are you talking to me about this? I didn't sign up for this shit.
Yes, you did.
I didn't agree to spend the next year talking about Star Trek novels.
The door's locked. You can't get out. Just accept your fate.
What
I
door?
tried
I'm in
chewing
the
my leg
basement.
off like a coyote in a trap. It didn't help. So, I'm out of ideas.
Oh, buzzing, no.
Well, I gotta make sure I include the whole Bazingo part of this so people have any context for why that's funny. So
just put an asterisk in the description with just a blurb of just that clip on the side. As like a helping on the side.
You must have at least played 20 minutes of Young Thor on PSP to get this episode.
So, the first original adult novel is a novel called Spock Must Die. There was some sort of young adult novel before then called Mission to Horatius or whatever, but this was the first major novel made for Star Trek. It's called Spock Must Die.
You keep saying that. Do you have a vendetta?
That's the name of the book. I see here on the Wikipedia page for it, the author aimed to kill off a popular character as a way to surprise readers, and during the novel's production chose Spock with the aid of his wife. I love how he decided this was how he was going to surprise readers, but he put it right in the title.
Well, maybe they thought the title was ironic, or it was like a quotation from like a sign.
It will be a big surprise to their blind audience.
I also kind of love the idea that he's mid-writing this novel, and he has a chat with his wife, and he's like, I think I should kill off a character. And she's like, how about Spock? And that is the origin story of this entire endeavor. This is the first novel.
The wife is the one with the vendetta here.
Yeah, I guess so. So
the wife was just like, I just don't like that Spock character. He creeps me out with those pointy ears and those chiseled features.
His long, sensual ears and that logical brain of his.
Now you're making it sound like she's gonna have second thoughts.
Yeah,
he grabs his pen. No, don't kill him!
She needs to kill off the temptation in order to save her marriage.
But no, I'm married. Spock must die.
See, he gets it.
There's an unreleased novel by the wife called Spock Must Snuggle.
Okay, so
no. It's called Spock is Spry, as opposed to Spock Must Die.
So, under the synopsis here, it says, Scotty develops a modification of the transporter that uses tachyons to create a copy of a crewman that could be transported to Organia long before the ship can reach the planet. Spock is chosen, but a permanent duplicate is created unexpectedly upon transport, as something at or on Organia has functioned as a perfect impenetrable mirror for the tachyon transporter beam. The crew is unable to distinguish between the two Spocks.
That's what she calls her vagina, the impenetrable mirror.
What? I don't even
I'm
get
still
that
fully
one.
immersed in the headcanon that the dude's wife is the one in charge of this description.
So by this logic, you're saying that the husband called his dick the tachyon transporter beam.
Sir, we're going to have to cut away from this podcast if you're going to speak that lewdly to me.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say tachyon.
Well, the cork is already out of the genie lamp, so... So, the crew is unable to distinguish between the two Spocks. Kirk arbitrarily designates one as Spock 1 and the other as Spock 2. Spock 2 soon argues that...
Kirk looks at Spock 1 and then looks at Spock 2 and then says, "Where's Poochie?"
Spock 2 soon argues that the duplicate will be operating on a pro-Klingon agenda, since being physically reversed, he is also ethically reversed as well. And he states that the duplicate must therefore be killed, even if it is I.
What the
Yo, the ethical reversal will get you like 4 times combo in Tony Hawk.
So wait a minute. Wait a
Yes.
minute. Wait
Yes.
a fucking minute. Rewind.
Yes.
How does he know that?
I know!
How does he fucking know? Like, yes,
He
well,
just-
obviously this unprecedented scientific event has caused a second Spock who's a complete mirror image of the original one. Wait, how? Okay, Dr. Kirk, I had no idea you were a master of theoretical physics.
Actually, this is
He's a
Spock
master of
who
theoretical
says that.
physicists as well, but...
Spock 2
oh, really?
is the one who says that since one of us is reversed, they must also be ethically reversed, because that's how physics works. And so our only choice is to kill whoever is the duplicate.
I said ethnic cleansing, not ethic cleansing.
So anyway, oh, you have that horn handy?
Yeah, here.
So
Waka waka!
So after Spock 2 declares that one of the two of them is evil by nature of being split into two and has to be killed, Spock 1 fakes a mental breakdown and barricades himself in sickbay. And he escapes in a stolen shuttlecraft, which he has adapted to warp drive. He must have been in the sickbay for a long time to do all this. They discover that Spock 1 used the Enterprise's science facilities to manufacture chirality-reversed amino acids. He had undergone a total left-to-right inversion down to the atomic level during his creation. To survive, he had to infuse the inverse forms of amino acids into his diet.
As one does.
So his food has to be reversed, too.
Yes! His food has to be reversed.
So... Okay, so this is literally a thing where, like, now he's gonna take a shuttle to the planet Upside Downacles, and, like, dogs will, cats will chase dogs, and people wear shoes on their hands and gloves on their feet. Like, what? That feels like where this is going at this rate.
So, the synopsis says how the book ends. Kirk, Scotty, and Spock transport to the surface, but Kirk identifies the Spock with him as the duplicate Spock, Spock 1. Realizing the danger to Kirk and Scotty via their psychic link, Spock 2 transports to the planet and kills his duplicate.
I mean, I get it.
This is just a really shitty version of Jet Li's The One.
Good.
I kind of love how just like the original Spock just makes up this crap about how the other one has to be evil. and the rest of the book is just them chasing him down and murdering him, and they're like, the end.
That's a really great and touching story. It's powerful. It teaches the children a good lesson, and that lesson is, listen, if an evil duplicate of you is created, and trust me, if a duplicate of you is in fact created, it will be evil. You have to kill it as fast as you can, or else you're going to waste a lot of time and resources trying to track him down to do it. And don't ask me why we have to kill him and couldn't just let him go on his merry way. You just have to.
We have to murder him.
Why?
I'll make you get the belt.
Ian, I'm asking you specifically why.
Yeah.
I would like to know why.
We have to murder him, otherwise
All right,
it will be
listen.
harder to murder him.
Listen, when a good mommy and an evil mommy love a good daddy and an evil daddy very much, they need to be very
They
careful
go on
about
Reddit
which
to the
one
poly
gets with which
forum.
one. That's called a polycule. And I think we've gotten off a track. Look, the point
little
is,
bit,
don't
little bit.
question the logic here.
Thank you
Listen,
for coming to
Spock
my TED Talk.
Is logic incarnate. He knows logic.
And remember that this all started because this guy and his wife decided they wanted to kill off one of the characters, and they came up with this as a way to kill off one of the main characters, but still have him not get killed off.
You know what? That
Which
reminds me. Can we
is-
bring Tuvix back? Hey, Voyager fans,
no.
can we bring back Tuvix?
Voyager is a long way away, Stevo. We're
I
gonna be
know. We're
in-
at least 7 months out from Voyager
yeah.
in terms of Wiki Sift episodes.
So, the next book I'd like to talk about is a book called Spock Messiah. Oh,
I beg your pardon?
yes,
How
Spock,
dare you
comma,
assume my
Messiah!
religion?
Exclamation mark.
You know, I just want you all to know, I hope on this blessed day that you always remember in your heart of hearts that up there on that cross on the wall, that's Spock, and he died for your sins.
Steven Seagal comes in, bum rushes, and kicks the fuck out of the cross.
Steven Seagal's the one who put him on it.
And now he's the one taking him out.
I created you. I will end
The
you.
evil Steven Seagal put him on it.
I'm not Steven Seagal. I'm Steven Seagal, too.
And now the good Steven Seagal has to fight the evil Steven Seagal without either of them getting hit because they refuse to be filmed getting punched. So, anyway, the USS Enterprise is conducting operations using the planet Kairos to test a new device. The Telescan cephalic implant gives the Starfleet officers complete access to the knowledge and instincts.
Cephalic, not phallic. Okay, got it.
Yes. Gives them complete access to the
Phallic
knowledge
implant.
and instincts of pre-scanned and selected members of the local populace. It is soon realized that there is something wrong when Ensign Sarah George becomes a trampy sexpot. This is what the description says.
What? Hold on.
Yeah, this is uncharacteristic of George, as she normally is one of the few women in Starfleet who still hold the anachronistic idea that sexual harassment in the workplace is a bad thing.
I hate this.
Oh
Yes.
my God, what?
It is it is soon realized.
So in the future, feminism was all a stupid bunch of shit. Now get back to work, sweet cheeks. Slaps on ass.
Yeah, that appears to be the author's take on Star Trek.
Wow.
It is soon realized that much more is amiss when Spock refuses to return to the ship and declares himself to be the Messiah.
Yeah, that would be something amiss, I would say. That's not really Spock's
Yes.
normal modus operandi. Sure, I'll give you that.
No, not quite. The implants cause them to take on characteristics of the people they telepathically link with. Spock links with a local religious fanatic.
Wait. He links with a local religious fanatic.
Yeah. I'm not sure. There's a lot I'm not sure about here, but okay, so Ensign George is discovered to have been the reason Spock's implant was at fault, but after her own is repaired, she is selected for the landing party in case any seduction of the locals becomes necessary.
Oh my god, what the fuck?
Yeah. This is so cringe.
Bruv, just go to Pornhub. Come on.
Kirk befriends a local...
No, this is Kirk's fantasy right here. Now listen, on the away team, I need you, the trampy whore, in case I need to stand in the corner and watch you have sex with one of the locals. Mr. Scott, be sure to beam down my dirty raincoat.
Sir, you've got an autograph session in 12 minutes. Please stop talking to the con staff.
So, Kirk befriends a local drunkard named Kirk Hassimi. I don't know how you pronounce this crap. They quickly learned that Care was a physician. They quickly learned that Care was a physician until his license was revoked due to his inappropriate sexual relations with young girls. Kirk determines that...
No!
It gets so much worse. Kirk determines that the best way to track Spock without violating the Prime Directive is to forge local currency in order to bribe the medical board into reinstating Care as a doctor.
Oh my god, why?
This is their best idea.
Can we just give Kirk a gun?
Then they use forged funds to rent Care an office building from which he can resume his practice as they collect data.
Great.
So Kirk basically was like, well, I know you're a kitty diddler, and you're probably going to go back to it, but Spock is so much more important. So molest all the kids you can, Doc, as long as it can help us.
So just as you think this can't get worse, Kirk's next attempt at reaching Spock involves dressing as a gypsy and following him into the hills. That is the word used in the description. That's not me using that word.
Can I walk out? Can I walk out of the theater in my own house? Is there a way for me to accomplish this?
No, but you can disconnect from the podcast if you want.
Okay, then fine. Boo deep. I definitely left.
Don't actually do it. Tom would be very mad at me.
Okay, so Montgomery Scott and Pavel Chekhov are also selected for this mission. George is also included in this mission despite recent injury, as she is considered the only seductive officer on board the ship. Kirk decides...
Did nobody stop to think that maybe, maybe Sulu would be seductive?
Kirk?
I mean, have you ever looked at the man? Remember the episode when Sulu took his shirt off and he was all sweaty and he had the sword and he was like, hello, I've got a sword and I'm going crazy.
The nav console is wearing a really nice negligee with some silk panties.
Now that's the one we need to get. Just bring the nav console down. I'd fuck that, whatever.
It's a well-lubricated port.
But I'm a very lonely man, so...
So Kirk decides to ford a local river with his caravan, and in appreciation of this, Ensign George goes skinny dipping.
So they just played the Oregon Trail.
Yeah, the Oregon Trail, but with rampant misogyny.
The vanilla Oregon Trail.
Jeez. Chekhov causes trouble with the chief's oldest son. George dances a striptease to get the chief on their side. And at the big gathering of the Messiah's forces, George does her striptease again. At the end of the dance, Kirk and company are unmasked and held prisoner. While engaging in intimate relations with the Messiah, George realizes that this man is Chag and not Spock. Spock's ears were pointed the last time they had sexual relations, and the Messiah's are not. Hold on. So, how many...
So that's...
how many people has she had sex with? Because there's so much...
Apparently so many that she literally can't tell them apart by anything but their ears.
George knocks him unconscious, which revives Spock from his comatose state. They make their getaway and beam back to the ship in time to avoid a radioactive death. So, at least she's the hero, I guess? So,
I love your confidence.
Yeah,
I
but
guess.
I'm sure that when she got back... I'm sure when she gets back to the ship, Kirk's just like, hey, good job, sweet cheeks, and then slaps her on the ass and says, now, how about you go get me and the boys some coffee?
Yeah, so I found this book as an entry on fanlore.org, and they had reviews of the book from people who would actually rent it, and one reviewer commented how inappropriate it was that Kirk describes an ensign as a sex pot in front of the whole bridge crew.
Oh my god.
I'm not speaking because my mouth is just kind of stuck open.
Yeah.
Did this person never actually watch the show?
Yeah, I know. It's like...
It seems to me like this person read, like, nothing but erotic fan fiction about the show and then was just like, I can write a book about it.
They've only seen Star Trek from the Brazzers productions in satire of.
In a review of the book on the Daily Cost website, Spock Must Die was described as the single worst Star Trek story.
That one Star Erect.
The single worst Star Trek story I have ever read, either fan or pro. The issues with the book included racism.
No.
Where Uhura is called A Black.
Oh god.
And Sulu the Oriental.
Oh my
and also
god.
parts where the novel ignored specific elements of the series, such as giving Scotty red hair.
What?
And removed the sonic showers from the Enterprise. It summed up the review by saying the book isn't just bad, it's shamefully bad.
This is the second original novel.
It is one of the very first.
Huh. It says sales did not meet expectations. I wonder why.
I wonder.
Initial reaction to Spock Messiah was poor. Contemporary
I can't imagine
reception
why.
to Spock Messiah is poor.
What?
Oh my God.
So hopefully let's move on to something a little bit lighter. The next book, The Price of the Phoenix. Captain Kirk tried to save a woman and her baby from a house fire and was killed. Kirk's body is beamed aboard the Enterprise. Spock confronts Omni, however the alien reveals that he has developed technology that can create a duplicate of a living person, and he offers Spock a recent copy of Kirk, recorded shortly before his death. Spock is allowed to mind meld with a duplicate, who Spock decides to call James, to differentiate between the duplicate and the original. Spock verifies that the duplicate's mind is identical to Kirk's, and accepts Omni's offer, which will also require Spock to betray the Federation.
Why
What?
all this focus on Spock being the bad guy?
I don't know. A Romulan commander accompanies James
Is this
back to
because
his room.
Leonard Nimoy is Jewish?
I don't know. I don't know.
Anti-Semitism then. Anti-Semitism now.
So, a Romulan commander accompanies James back to his room, where they discover that the original Kirk is alive, having sustained only minor injuries in the fire before being beamed to Omni's lair and replaced by a duplicate.
No, wait a minute. All right. So they beamed his body aboard, and nobody on board bothered to, like, I don't know, check for a pulse.
I know.
I mean, for God's sakes, they have the tricorder. You wave the tricorder. Woo, 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 woo. Doesn't that say, like, by the way, he's not dead?
I also like how Spock decides to give the new one a different name to differentiate him from the dead guy, as if he knows that there's going to be two of them that he would confuse, but he thought one was dead.
Ah, so Spock 3.
Spock 3 is the one that's just he's a centrist, and he stands between Spock 1 and Spock 2 just going, well, personally, I see violence on both sides of the conflict.
Okay, so Spock fights Omni hand-to-hand, defeating him after a brutal battle, in which they are both gravely injured. He forces a mind meld on Omni in an attempt to remove all memory of his experiences with Kirk, but before he can finish, Omni shoots himself in the head.
What?
Yo, that accelerated quickly.
Yes!
Yeah, what the hell?
Spock, Kirk, James, and the commander beam to the Enterprise, knowing that Omni is not dead, but will have used his technology to resurrect himself. In the meantime, they make plans for Omni's return and for James to start a new life elsewhere. James is surgically altered to pass for Romulan and is to accompany the commander back to the Empire. So, here's a good idea. Let's give Let's take someone who has extensive knowledge of Starfleet and hand him over to the Romulans.
Yeah.
Not only that, mind you.
We can't have two Kirks. That just doesn't make sense. Let's make one into a Romulan and give him to our enemies.
Not only that, but this copy knows that he's a copy now and knows that they're getting rid of him in exchange for the other one that's the original. And they don't stop to think that maybe in time he's going to come to resent them and use all of his Starfleet knowledge against them. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think I'd be pretty pissed if, like, I found out tomorrow that, oh, by the way, you're actually a duplicate, and that's the original over there. So we're going to butcher you and send you to another planet. I hope that you don't mind.
James.
I don't, but thank you for asking.
I think I'd have some choice words to say.
Okay, so for the next book, Starless World, Stevo, I want you to read the summary.
All right, let me see. While exploring a region of space, the starship USS Enterprise discovers a man claiming to be Jesus Christ.
So this is Spock 4, I think?
I got what, 12 words in before I broke? All right, hold on. I can do this. I read the fan fiction well. In a shuttlecraft from a starship that went missing 20 years prior, the insane fellow of the USS Rickover shuttle turns out to be James T. Kirk's former roommate, Thomas Clayton, whom he had expelled from Starfleet Academy for cheating. Cheating would not be tolerated by Kirk, especially not at the Academy.
He
Thomas
famously
Clayton
cheated on the
rants and
Kobayashi Maru.
Thomas Clayton rants and raves about Inob and attacks several people after overpowering the witless medtech placed in charge of his captivity. This causes the USS Enterprise to backtrack the shuttle's course. The USS Enterprise is then captured by an unseen force and held within a Dyson sphere called Lyra. Why am I reading this? What? James T. Kirk and company descend to the planet where he becomes romantically involved with a local inhabitant.
Of course.
The local girl is furry.
Oh my god, no.
And believes she is married to Kirk. Kirk soon discovers Klingons are trapped within this construct and that all weapons but a special sort found on the surface are useless. This gun is useless. Just throw it at them, goddammit. It has heft. It has weight. The Klingons claim to be political dissidents on the run from the Emperor and ask for Kirk's help in escaping Lyra. The landing party camps out within the village on the surface, and in the night, strangers, with a capital S, attack, causing commotion.
Commotion.
I say, what's a commotion?
Well, you know, if they're trying to escape from Lyra, they should switch to Bitcoin. Cause you see,
You know, that's something that Spock 5 would say.
Spock 5 is just he's like, you know how in Superman 2 they had the floating square that the Kryptonians were imprisoned in?
Yeah, the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, Spock 5 is that, but it's an NFT of Spock floating through space end over end.
It's an NFT of a Windows screensaver of Superman 2?
Yes. But Spock.
I hate Web 3.0. I hate this future we live in.
Oh, me too.
Oh no, I read ahead and saw a word that I like. Startled by noises outside her hut, a nude Uhura ventures into the night.
Ooh la la.
Which, Nude Uhura is the name of my Star Trek-themed Fleetwood Mac cover band.
End it here. That's the best joke. Nobody can top that. Nobody can top that joke. I'm sorry.
This is not very unusual, as Uhura mentions that within the United Federation of Planets, the only reason anyone wears clothes at all is to help maintain order on board starships.
Yeah, because of all the sexual harassment that everyone likes.
Nyota Uhura discovers her father, and the two run off to join the other strangers. Clayton again outwits the med tech in charge of his confinement, and again attacks crew members, this time taking hostages. Kirk and Spock commune with Inob and learn the history of Lyra. It took several days. A species seeking to end the cycle of war and rebuilding turned to the god Inob that lives within their star. Inob offers to teach them to build the Dyson Sphere, but promises that they will all be destroyed in a black hole if they do this. The locals accepted this offer, built the sphere, and have dwindled down to the village's small population as Lyra fast approaches the black hole. Kirk is allowed to leave with Uhura, but must leave all the others behind as Inob drains them of their life force in order to survive. Kirk bargains for the life of his, quote, wife, Ola.
I am Ola.
Just the name. As the Enterprise escapes, Spock ponders the destruction of Lyra, suggesting they might instead have used the black hole to travel to some other universe or location. The Klingon ship is allowed to leave, but without their newfound arsenal. What the hell did I just read?
Yeah,
I would say I have questions, but I don't. I have regrets.
Listen, I think that this one comes from a pure place. This came from inside someone's heart. Unfortunately, that person has a very serious heart condition.
Oh, great. I'm reading the characters. I like how characters Inob, and then for some reason a minor league baseball player. Now batting, Nathan Boggs.
so
that minor league baseball, that checks out. He's up there with Bobson Dugnut.
yeah, Bobson Dugnut, yes. That is my favorite of those. Okay, so the next book I want to talk about is called Devil World, and I'm kind of in love with just this one
that Nintendo
single
game.
That is a Nintendo game, isn't it?
You're in the maze and you gotta try and collect the crosses, and that devil is he's making the maze move around up at the top, and yeah, that was a good one. I don't know how it had to do with Star Trek though.
Yeah, so there's just one very specific bullet point about this that I love that I want to share with you guys. So, James T. Kirk and company attend a magic show. Kirk is noticeably worried that the girl sawed in half will not recover. Kirk is then frightened to the point of disgust by images of devils. Kirk notices a masked girl screaming about her father being abducted by devils. The girl is a Jane, and therefore eats very little and wears a mask to avoid killing microbes. Her name is Gilla Dupree, and she is a famous performer whom Spock describes as awesome. Kirk notes that it took him 3 hours to compose himself after he witnessed a recording of her acting.
Now wait a minute, that was Spock 7.
I love how...
Spock 7, the gnarly skateboarder, I know him. Dude, that guy is so awesome.
Okay, so... I don't know, I love this jump in character from Kirk being, this worldly, composed captain to someone who's terrified at a magic show that the girl sawed in half will not recover, and when he sees weird images flowing around, he's frightened to the point of disgust, and it took him 3 hours to compose
himself. On the inside, he is still an infant.
In this version, he's 6 years old, I think. It took him 3 hours to compose himself after he witnessed a recording of her acting.
Kirk didn't sleep for 2 weeks after I did the thumb trick.
A Ferengi comes up to him and goes, "Oh, Kirk, what have you got in your ear? Oh, a coin of gold-pressed latinum. How did you do that?
How did you do that?
Get it out! Get it out! Get it out!
How did you do that? I'm disgusted!
We cut forward like a month later. He's just sitting in a dark room, rocking back and forth, all haggard looking with a bottle in hand, just going, how did he do that?
All the blood is...
How did he do
All
that?
the blood is gone from his body. He's just completely pale. The coin came out of his ear, but it was too big for his ear hole. Anyway... So I'm just going to talk a little bit about a couple of books called The New Voyages, which are compilations of short stories. Star Trek The New Voyages was an anthology of novellas. Although published professionally, the stories contained in the anthology were all written by fans.
So this is the Chuck Tingle of Star Trek novels.
Something... not completely
Wait,
Chuck Tingle, I guess.
a living starship forced me Vulcan gay? Is that what we're getting into here?
Okay, so I didn't have a whole lot of information about these books other than some reviews, and so I delved into the reviews and found some fun stuff. Intersection Point by Juanitas Coulson I had already read. I'm reading the review here. I don't dislike it, but neither do I like it. I don't fault the writing or the development of the story. I just can't accept a story in which the Enterprise is seriously damaged by colliding with nothing.
Oh
well,
my
no,
God.
see, it was actually a crossover fan fiction. That's the part that they didn't catch. They didn't catch it, but thankfully it was, loose enough of a term that they didn't catch that it was from another franchise. They actually meant the Nothing from the Neverending Story.
I knew you were gonna go there. I was waiting for it.
The editors cut out the part where the Enterprise flies up on the giant on the stone tricycle going, the Nothing.
Oh no, the Enterprise has used its deflector shield against Falcor! He's going down!
I still can't get over the part where we watch as Kirk screams trying to get the Enterprise to stop sinking in the mud, but then it drowns. I'm scarred by that for life.
Okay, so now I'm imagining the USS Enterprise with horse legs.
Oh man. Someone's going to draw this now. Someone out there is going to draw the Enterprise with horse legs.
Sinking in the mud as Kirk is screaming, no!
Con!
And Ricardo Montalban looks up from his newspaper somewhere and he's just like, what? I didn't have anything to do with it.
Now I want to see Ricardo Montalban as the fucking awesome wolf. He would have a wolf persona. I'm sure of it, just like a Never-Ending Story.
Ricardo Montalban just felt a tremor. Like somewhere out there, a starship with horse legs cried out and was suddenly silenced.
Oddly enough, the Enterprise with horse legs was known as Spock 10.
That's the natural evolution of transportation. First, we rode as starships on horseback. Then they were starships with wheels. Then starships with wings. Then just starships.
Are you doing the Trogdor thing?
But anyways,
The Enterprise was a man. Actually, it was a starship man.
The Enterprise was a horse. No, maybe it was a starship horse. Or maybe it was just a starship.
But it was the Enterprise!
Tom, by the time
Yes.
we reach episode 10, these are going to be 7 hours long apiece.
All right, let's move along. Okay.
Not only 7 hours apiece, let me just interject really quickly. They will not only be 7 hours apiece, but you will need a book of just lore on what has been said during these streams. All right, now what Spock number are they on?
308, sir.
My God.
Send in the first 300 Spocks.
My God, it's full of Spock.
So, the 308th is more powerful than the first 307 put together.
All right, throw all the Spocks into the ravine, unleash the horde of Enterprises with horse legs, trample them like that scene in Lion King.
And send Ensign George in case one of them needs to be seduced.
Steven Seagal pulls off his scouter and crushes it in his hand. His power level is over 9,000!
The Enchanted Pool. While searching for renegade Andorians who have stolen a top-secret weapon, Spock crash lands on an uninhabited planet and encounters a woman claiming to be a fairy. Spock gazes into the water of a strange world and sees his true love, and finds the answer to the mystery of a lost starship at the same time. He becomes imprisoned in a force field, which also holds an enchanted pool, and Felida, a woman dressed in leaves who speaks in a wildly fanciful manner. We're led to assume she's a member of one of the colonies of eccentric back-to-nature humans living nearby. Claiming to be enchanted, she entices him to come to nearby caverns where her true nature can be revealed. Once inside, she identifies herself as an officer from the Yorktown, hiding out from the Andorians who are monitoring everything inside the force field.
Now I know
So, her plan was to pretend to be a fairy until she can trick him into a cave.
First of all, this is some real goddamn King's Quest logic. This story was written by Roberta Williams. Thank you very much. But second of all,
yeah,
the phrase officer, I know it means a Starfleet officer, but in my head, the first thing I thought was like, okay, so like I'm imagining now like a cop doing like a drug sting or something, but they're doing it by like, oh yes, I'm an enchanted tingly-wingly pixie elf. Follow me into the woods. And then as soon as they go into the cave, all right, where's my magic gold? You're under arrest, fucker.
It doesn't say the description.
Did I just listen to?
My stream of consciousness.
It doesn't say the USS Yorktown, it just says an officer from the Yorktown, so you can interpret her as being a Bobby.
Yeah.
Okay. I will, thank you.
What's all this then?
I'm trying not to laugh, because it's really not funny. But it's also funny.
Welcome to any interaction
we need clown
with
horns.
me.
God damn it!
Thank you. Okay, so the last story in this anthology I want to talk about is Visit to a Weird Planet Revisited. According to...
Okay.
So here's a quick description here on Wikipedia. While filming an episode of Star Trek, Shatner, Nimoy, and Kelly are transported to the real Enterprise and relentlessly pursued by the Klingon captain Kor.
So it's like breaking the fourth wall, but going out.
It's Galaxy Quest.
As opposed
It's Galaxy Quest.
Oh God.
This person wrote Galaxy Quest before Galaxy Quest.
Well, that's a lawsuit.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore.
I'm sorry.
I was Severus
Tim
Snape,
Allen
and
grunt
now
broke
I'm
me.
dead. I don't want to do this anymore.
The New Voyages 2, I'm just going to talk about one story from this collection, which is called The Procrustean Petard.
Can you say that again?
No. Yeah, I'll say it again. I understand that 100% of you are going to have no idea what I just said. The Procrustean Petard.
Procrustean Petard of the captain of the
I
Starship
heard it
Enterprise.
a second time, and it makes just as little sense.
Procrustean petard of the USS Enterprise. Go ahead. Go ahead,
The
sorry.
genders of the crew of the Enterprise are reversed while they are being menaced by a nearby Klingon battlecruiser under the command of Kirk's old adversary Kang.
Oh no, my outie has become an innie. That's the kind of shit that Kirk would fucking say too.
So,
Damn it, Bones! What happened to my wedding tackle?
It's become a mailbox, sir.
all right, you Spock and Sulu, come here. We're going to investigate this really closely.
Begins to remove pants.
So this short story reveals that the sexes are far from equal in Starfleet, and discussion of the topic is discouraged. Females rarely achieve the rank of captain, and upon reaching this rank are posted to a safe desk job. When they meet in a bar, Kang and Kirk, who is now female, decide to accept their condition and go back to his place. They later lament that Spock's arrival interrupts this action.
So they wanted to fuck, is what I'm getting from this.
Yes! They absolutely did.
Kirk was just like, well,
I guess I like men now.
the only thing that's been stopping me from slobbing upon your knob was the fact that I had one of my own. Now that I have a little hoo-ha down there, I want that Klingon dick.
So, the all-male Klingon crew becomes quiet and shy once turned female. And the conversion to female has a noticeable effect on James T. Kirk's ability to pilot a shuttle and his emotional fortitude.
Oh my
we're back here again.
God. Oh
So
my
this is literally
really?
Star Trek, but it's the hot chick.
Women drivers, am I right? Women drivers, am I right? Hey, you. Oh, what are you gonna turn left or turn right? Make up your mind, you crazy dame. Oh, hey.
It's the
Honk,
90s! So, so those are the books that I studied. I'm gonna let Zero take over from here and talk about the books that he read.
Okay,
Or didn't read, he read about.
Yeah, I read far less sources than you did. I basically just stuck to memory beta. And
Well, that is a solid source.
Yeah, a few of these there's very little information on. And what's more is I didn't quite get as in depth with some of them, so the later entries are probably going to be just about as fresh for me as they are for you as I'm reading them. But I'm good at winging things like this. They call me the wingman, and not because I'm good in social situations.
But because your gender got reversed when you visited that planet.
Yes, and I now also have wings, and they call me Spock 11.
And I can't drive anymore.
I can't drive anymore.
So it's a good thing that my starship has horse legs. So moving on, now that we've gotten all the references thus far in there, I started with the Entropy Effect. And so this one, I included, I looked at the covers for like the first half of these. A lot of them were pretty samey, so I kind of stopped paying attention further in. But this one, I noted that the cover is kind of baffling. Kirk's in a blue shirt rather than his command colors, not covers. But what's more interesting here is Sulu is on the cover as well, but he has long, straight black hair and a big, goofy mustache that makes him look like the villain of a late 70s sword and sorcery film.
He looks like Ming from Flash Gordon.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. It feels like if you put like a floppy leather goblin hat and some sort of like weird 80s sci-fi tunic on him, and he could just be like, yes, I am the Dark Lord Maldemort, and welcome to my lair. So the book jacket summary puts
So
forward...
not a mustache for riding, a mustache for fighting.
No. Yes.
This is a mustache for fleeing from.
Yes.
So wings.
Yes, exactly. It's the mustache that gives men wings. So the book jacket summary puts forward several rather alarming concepts. A mad scientist has been promising to send people back in time and then killing them instead, and the Enterprise is tasked with escorting the guy to prison, during which time he escapes and murders Captain Kirk on the bridge. Spock then has to go back in time.
We only have
try
57 Kirks left.
Yeah, they could just go and get the one from Romulus. Be like, sorry, we goofed up. We need you back, James. So then Spock then has to go back in time to try and save Captain Kirk and also the universe, since apparently it is collapsing in on itself because of the dreaded Entropy Effect.
I'm not scared.
Well, you should be. Moving right along. So here's another instance of Spock just suddenly knowing everything, inexplicably. Spock is studying a, quote, negative singularity, unquote, and somehow his research on it has conclusively demonstrated that the universe has less than a century left before it ceases to exist, I guess?
What?
This literally makes zero sense to me. Apparently there's just this thing in space, and he's like looking at it going, yes, clearly this means the universe will end in less than 100 years. I don't know how he jumps to this conclusion, but...
Well, I know that we're supposedly on track for the heat death of the universe. I guess the excessive heat from using all the computational graphics cards to generate the fucking NFTs is accelerating the downfall of the known universe.
Yeah, thanks, Spock 5.
I'm no astrophysicist, but I think if the universe had only like 100 years left, we would have like one solar system left.
Yeah, you would think that
Just the
things
one.
would have already been falling apart rather than just like... The way it makes it sound in this is like, this thing is just like, oh, well, okay, in 100 years, suddenly, all gone. Just instantly. So anyhow, the Enterprise is summoned to Aleph Prime by an ultimate override command, which I have no idea what it is, but it sounds super important. Only to find when they arrive...
We have to hack the entropy.
Only to find when they arrive that the planet's prosecutor is the only one there to meet them, and he has no idea where the command came from. He decides to ask them to take a prisoner to space jail, but Kirk refuses. Then Spock finds out it's his old mentor, who he's never
Does it actually say space jail?
No, it's a prison, a Federation prison. I just said space jail because I think that's a funny phrase. Then Spock finds out...
You just said it with such authority.
Look, I say stupid things with authority a lot. That's a running theme in my life. So anyways, Spock finds out it's his old mentor, who he's never mentioned before ever, Dr. Georges Mordreau, and convinces Kirk to take him on board. We then find out in this that Sulu is forging a relationship with a heretofore unseen character, a security officer named Mandala Flynn, so of course he's transferred to the USS Airfin when they're at Aleph Prime. He's to be serving under Captain Hunter,
of course,
who is a colorful...
as one does.
Yeah, you know... he's serving under Captain Hunter, who is a colorful lady herself. I actually looked... she had a link to read about her, and I got curious, and let me tell you, she was captain of her ship 2 years before even attending Starfleet Academy. She met Sulu when he was an 11-year-old stowaway on her ship. And also, here's the kicker, she's in a 9-person polycule, which she has a daughter from, and apparently invited Kirk to be a part of no less than 3 times.
It's Mary Sue's all the way down.
Yeah.
That reminds me, while cooking supper tonight, I turned to Val and said I came up with the best pseudonym for a fan fiction writer. Mary Sue Chef.
I thought you were going to say polycule.
I mean, that is pretty polycool. Tom's gonna kick us off, I know it.
Yeah, pretty much. So let's just savor the time we got left. During the mission, Mordreau appears on the bridge and murders Captain Kirk and Sulu's girlfriend, but Spock shortly thereafter finds him in his holding cell. Mordreau just kind of casually puts it out that it must have been a future version of himself as he spills the beans about his time travel research, which, by the way, actually does work, and the people he supposedly killed actually did go back in time, and it turns out the prosecutor guy is trying to cover up his research by command from the Federation, who fear the tech is dangerous, by framing him as a criminal.
Okay.
So I want to repeat that. Kirk is murdered by the man they're arresting from the future. And the guy is just like, oh, your captain was killed? Oh, well, must be me from the future. I'm such a rapscallion. I should note, of course...
Thank you for explaining that to me, because my brain turned into a pretzel there.
I should, of course, note that not only did the Enterprise unintentionally go back in time once during the original series, but then later intentionally did it using the same method. Literally an entire episode is set up where they're in the past observing events in the 1960s that led to the nuclear wars that canonically ravaged the Earth not long thereafter. So why this man time traveling is like such a, oh my god, is beyond me, because they literally already did it themselves. Yeah. Twice.
I think time travel has been discovered like 40 times in Star Trek shows in 40 different ways.
Yeah, and every time it's the first time.
Yeah.
Every time. It's like that Lewis Black bit about candy corn.
This is totally not me reaching over and grabbing my party-sized bag of mallow cream pumpkins that I still have from Halloween.
Oh, I'm sure those are good and stale by now, my friend.
You know,
okay.
I had the idea of making a mallow cream turkey with a caramelized glaze, and it just never came to be, so I decided to eat the bag myself. This was a mistake. All of this was a mistake.
I'm assuming the bag would be more edible than that by now.
Let me try. Hold on.
Okay, so Spock leaves Dr. McCoy.
It's not.
Oh, God.
Are we still on the entropy effect?
Are we still on Spock, too?
Yes, we are.
A lot happens in this
I made
book.
a lot of notes about. Yeah, so Spock leaves Dr. McCoy in charge while he builds his own time travel device. The prosecutor becomes paranoid and gets it in his head that McCoy, Spock, and the woman Mordreau murdered all conspired to help Mordreau kill Kirk in an effort to sell the secret of time travel and the USS Enterprise itself to enemy powers.
What?
Somehow he's able to convince Scotty of this and get him to hamper their efforts. I want to stress this again. The prosecutor believes one of the people that were killed agreed to be killed as part of this plan to sell time travel and the Enterprise to their enemies. This is writing at a top tier level.
Oh, sorry. No. It has nothing. My oh no had nothing to do with what you were saying. My bag of mallow cream pumpkins fell.
Oh God, that is bad. But fortunately, Spock can help you. Eventually, Spock goes back in time, but he is unable to prevent Kirk's murder. He then tries to stop the fake signal, sent by a future Dr. Mordreau, from luring the Enterprise to Aleph Prime, but he also fails at that. He then meets an even older Dr. Mordreau, who tells him that the original timeline's Kirk and Spock worked together to clear his name, but eventually he just kinda went mad and went back in time to kill Kirk. Spock then goes back to Mordreau's very first experiment and explains that his work will not only lead his own fragile mind to snapping, but is causing a massive acceleration of entropy and will cause the universe to end prematurely. This doesn't convince him to stop,
My bag
apparently.
of mallow cream pumpkins and
Okay,
fell.
Stevo.
No, go ahead.
This doesn't convince him to stop, apparently. But then he sees himself in old age, dying as a result of time travel effects or whatever, and decides to stop his research and become a hermit or some shit.
Oh, man.
So the new timeline that Spock returns to replaces the horrid entropy singularity with a totally harmless black hole, and everything is right in the universe, and Kirk offers Sulu a promotion to lieutenant commander to bribe him into staying on the Enterprise, because having him leave would be too big a change for readers to accept in future books, if we're being honest.
As one does.
Now, this one, I actually got a couple of side notes about the book here that I thought were interesting. I shit you not, tags relevant to the story on the wiki included the Virginian, as in the book that became a movie that became a TV series, which I found highly amusing. Apparently, Sulu and his girlfriend discussed several novels, also including Frankenstein and The Time Machine, because the author is very subtle. Another odd side note, several printings use Star Trek the Motion Picture art, despite the fact that the story literally could not have taken place during or after that time period due to conflicting facts. As a result of this, at least one version has Ilia, the bald Deltan lady who was only on the Enterprise B for a single mission before being absorbed by V'ger, on the cover. Also, they explained Sulu's hair. Apparently it was a bet with the girl. That's it. He grew his hair out and his mustache out because, oh, wouldn't it be funny if you did that?
I was just gonna say,
Yes, Miss Piggy, it would be.
like, the fans are upset about it having,
Oh, Sulu!
like, the fans were upset about having the motion picture uniforms as opposed to the other one where Kirk wears blue and Sulu looks like Genghis Khan.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's just like, I found that so amusing that they had one with Ilia on the cover when she literally was only on the ship one time. Ever. There literally could not be another story with the Enterprise with her in it because she merged with a giant machine in space. It would be kind of like saying, like, hey, here's a Batman story. If this is Batman issue 235, oh, and on the cover, Batman's shaking hands with his dad. So next we have the Klingon Gambit.
Okay.
And no, it's not about a Klingon cosplaying as the X-Men character Gambit.
Aww.
That would be pretty great, but it's not that. The cover boldly asks, is the Enterprise doomed at last? I doubt
yes,
this is the case.
The answer is yes.
There's a depiction of a rather baffling ship that I can best describe as what would happen if you tasked a Hot Rod magazine artist obsessed with chrome with combining a bird of prey with the Enterprise.
I'd buy it.
So the Enterprise arrives at Alaf 2 and finds the Terror there. The Terror being the most powerful, deadly Klingon ship ever. And the T'Pau, a Vulcan research ship with no life signs on board. There is no evidence of the Terror having done literally anything to the Vulcan ship, and notably, the away team, mostly comprised of Andorians, those are the blue guys with the white hair and antennas, the away team is unharmed. Dr. Threlvan Da is convinced that Anlaf 2 was once an inhabited world, but only one structure exists on the surface, a big ol' pyramid. He concludes this must be the entrance to a massive underground city, as you do with these things. The Klingons are meanwhile at Anlaf 2 to mine its rich topoline deposits, and they coincidentally dig right into the city because their scans didn't detect it. Meanwhile, the Enterprise crew begin to act like parodies of themselves, with McCoy being even more terrified of machines than normal, and Scotty becoming wholly obsessed with further improving the output of the warp engines. Spock ping-ponging between being a hot mess of emotions and a cold, wholly logical lump, and Chekhov becoming an aggressive rebel who nearly fires on the Terror of his own accord when a message comes through indicating they plan to attack. But then it is revealed that this was sent by their first officer, Kislav, and not their captain, Kalan. It turns out they're also experiencing exaggerated behaviors, with a vast number of the crew conspiring to take over, and Kalan already having executed a number for mutiny.
Somebody's been working a lot of double shifts at their retail job before writing this.
Yeah.
It's always the Klingon ship where where everyone mutinies and gets killed, and whereas like on Star Trek it's all just like minor
Absolutely.
manic episodes.
That's where you go to watch people get killed, is the Klingons, because that's what they do for anything.
Fair enough.
Like, if you leave the toilet seat up in a Klingon marriage, your wife kills you.
Phone bill a little bit higher than normal, suddenly they're murdering each other in the middle of the mess hall.
And then the children fight over who gets to avenge the father.
That sounds about right. So anyhow, Kislev manages to strand Kalan on the planet's surface and immediately moves to attack the Enterprise, but Kirk refuses to fight back and instead offers the Gorn solution, one-on-one combat between them on the planet's surface. They beam down and Kislev tries to ambush Kirk, but our clever captain pits Kislev against the stranded Kalan, and being sure to wait for Kislev to shoot Kalan first, then stuns him.
Wait.
The resolution turns out peaceful as Kalan's wounds are treated.
Wait, so he did the Gorn thing except he brought a phaser?
Yeah, they were going to fight each other one-on-one, but he brought a phaser too. And my favorite thing is, at any time he could have shot and stunned the guy, but he waited for the mutinous first officer to shoot the captain with a deadly phaser before stunning him. So the resolution turns out peaceful as Kalan's wounds are treated, and the away team and the Klingons come to an agreement where their archaeological study will go unhindered so long as the Klingons are allowed mineral rights. Now here's the kicker. This whole thing has been just like one copy-pasted Star Trek episode plot after another up to this point. But here's where we get our ridiculous and hugely unsatisfying conclusion. A crystal is brought out of the pyramid that they are somehow able to figure out everything about in short order. The crystal is the only remaining artifact that proves there was once a civilization on Anleth 2, and the reason there are no traces of the previous inhabitants is because the crystal can grant everyone's deepest desires. To my knowledge, it is not explained... To my knowledge, it is not explained why this civilization's deepest desire was apparently to vanish without a trace. It is then explained that since nobody who had come to the planet knew how to use it, the crystal was just tapping into their minds and trying to make these desires come true themselves, which is why Spock was trying to be either fully human or fully Vulcan, and why the Klingons were all trying to take over because of their desire to command, and why Kirk wouldn't fight back because of his desire for a peaceful resolution to the Klingon situation.
Yeah, that's
also
Kirk, all right.
The pyramid and the city below weren't real either, existing only because the crystal was helping the Doctor on the away team with their desire to find a lost city. Why it made McCoy more afraid of machines, or Scotty more obsessed with the engines, is unclear.
His deepest desire is to be more afraid.
Yeah, that's what I mean! It's like, why is that his deepest desire? Gee, Jim, if only I were more afraid of the transporters.
I would have thought Scotty's desire was to become the engine.
I'm just picturing that Garfield comic where John wakes up and the whole house looks like Garfield's fur, and then he looks in the kitchen at the fridge and sees Garfield's face stretched over it, and he goes, "I'm sorry, John. I was just so hungry." Except it's... You go into engineering and the whole room is just Scotty's uniform, and there on the engines is his face. "Oh, I'm sorry, Captain. I just felt I'd be more efficient this way."
We have become one! I love it.
So basically the entire story is nothing but a bunch of fucking episode concepts that had already been done. Somebody copied and pasted together and then explained it away with, "Here's the magical crystal of Gingledoof, and it makes all your dreams come true."
Uh-huh.
Can I also point out they do not mention in this summary anywhere what they did with this magical crystal that can literally do anything. It's the biggest fucking MacGuffin in the universe, and they just write it off.
Well, you know
They just looked at it and went, huh.
You know that time that Spock told Kirk that anything's a butt plug if you try hard enough?
So that was Spock 12's story, huh? He just put it up his ass.
And that's where the crystal lives to this day.
My deepest desire, Captain, is to have that crystal inside my anal cavity.
Yeah.
Your wish has been granted! Oh.
No one must know this.
So, then we have the Covenant of the Crown. And so I knew right away that it could not be what I was hoping it would be, but I was really, really hoping that the Covenant of the Crown would be a Star Trek story about Jesus. I say this as we now know that there was a story where they met Jesus in space, so anything's really on the table here, it turns out.
Not to mention the other Messiah.
Yeah, right. There have been 2 messiahs already, and now surely there'd be a third, but this isn't actually religious at all. So the front cover asks, will the Klingons finally rule? The Klingons already rule, my dude. Gowron forever. It features Kirk, Spock, and McCoy in weird yellow tunics that look like firemen's turnout jackets in front of a vaporwave mountain range, with the Enterprise racing a Klingon ship in the background. McCoy's expression is like an elderly dementia patient who is terrified and confused by their surroundings.
Have you ever seen, like, have you ever been to, like, a store with, like, emergency supplies and they have, like, an emergency poncho that you put on when it's raining? That's what this looks like to me.
Yeah, the ones that have, like, the reflective tape all over them.
Yeah, so it's like...
Yeah, they're wearing their emergency ponchos because they had to stop and change the Enterprise's tire in the rain.
Right.
So this one is about the Enterprise. An Enterprise shuttlecraft crashes on a planet Sigma 1212, carrying Spock, McCoy, and some lady named Kaylin, who's the heir to the Shaddan throne. Not the Shaddon throne, the Shaddan. Shaddan? Shaddan. I'll be saying Shaddan. I've decided.
Okay.
The all-new 4-door Sigma 1212 Shaddan. The trio must travel to a mountain in order to obtain the dynastic crown hidden there, pursued by Klingons and also primitive hunters who shouldn't be there if the world is fucking barren. If they fail, the galaxy could fall under Klingon control and blah, 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 whatever. So, this one had a pretty short summary, but this is what I got from it. The plot apparently revolves around a civil war on the planet Shad between those loyal to the Federation and those loyal to the Klingons. The Loyalists, the summary doesn't immediately tell you who they're loyal to, are nearing victory, and now Captain Kirk has to bring the Shaddan King, the Shaddan King...
The Shat-on King?
Yes, we already cleared this up. It's not Shadon, it's Shaddan.
It's not okay,
we covered this.
Right.
If you weren't taking a big piss, you would know this, damn it.
I'm sorry.
So he has to bring the Shaddan King he convinced to go into exile 18 years ago back to the planet to rally his followers. The twist is that King Steven is now dying and wants his daughter Kaylin to succeed him on the throne as queen. But she can only do so if she finds the crown of Shad and makes the crystals turn opaque with her mind powers. So this quickly begins to turn into like a high fantasy story that just happens to have the Enterprise crew in it.
I like the idea that it doesn't even necessarily do anything. She just has to turn them opaque. That's
yeah, like
It reminds me of there's a Doom Patrol comic that I peeked at once back when I worked at a comic store. I was like idly walking past and I just opened up one of the books and looked inside, and there was this guy who was in the washroom flexing his muscles, and his girlfriend's like banging on the bathroom door. It's like, you've been in there flexing for 3 days, please come out. He's like, I have to flex harder so I can turn the Pentagon into a perfect circle. That's like, this sounds just as silly as that.
Yeah. It basically is the same thing. Okay, so then while Spock, McCoy, and Kaylin are on a shuttle bound for the planet where the crown is hidden, because I do need to point out that this crown is, for some reason, on a different planet, Kirk learns that one of Steven's servants is feeding information to the Klingons. he kind of just like follows one of them and who's going somewhere, and immediately discovers that he was right and has uncovered the mole. The summary gave literally no more information about what happens with that leg of the story. And we continue to the shuttle crew makes contact with the local ruler who Steven left the crown with. But Kaylin has fallen for McCoy, and when he rejects her, it messes with her emotions, so she can't use the power of time right, and the crown doesn't react as it should.
Okay.
Then she comes back later.
Wow.
She comes back later and tries again, and it works fine this time. The only time this...
Well, that was a pointless bit of the story.
Yeah, it gets better.
See why it's so much more fun to read, like, brief descriptions of these rather than read 800 pages?
Yeah, because, I mean, what more do you really need to know? Kirk finds the mole, and that's it. Alright, so, the only time the summary mentions the Klingons that dogged them on the planet that was in the book jacket, it says their shuttle also crashed and all but one got killed and the remaining survivor is easily taken captive. It makes zero mention of the hostile tribal hunter dudes from the book jacket at all, so they must not play any sort of important role, or the guy who wrote this summary is an idiot. In the end, they apparently are able to take off from the planet in their ship, despite the jacket saying it was a crash landing they were lucky to survive, and are able to confuse a Klingon ship long enough to escape. Kaylin becomes the queen, and Ferris Bueller gets home before the principal can catch him. Hail Satan.
Yay!
I'm noticing that every single time there's, like, any kind of moral conflict, it always somehow involves Klingons. Like, with that other story where, this Spock is reversed, so he must be loyal to the Klingons, because Klingons are the opposite of humans. Like,
right, yeah. It's basically a crutch for a crappy Star Trek writer to just lean right into. You need somebody who's bad, just instantly go for the Klingons. Whatever bad thing you want to be done, have the Klingons do it. The original series, anytime you need anything bad, pick the Klingons. If you want to get a little more exotic, maybe you can pull the Romulans, but with the original series, it was all about them Klingons! But basically, yeah.
I'm glad times have changed.
This one overall really felt like the author, from the summary anyways. The summary really makes it feel like the author was, like, in the middle of writing some generic fantasy novel, and then the publisher just, like, kicked his door in and went, "Quick, we got the Star Trek license! Make whatever that is into a Star Trek book!" And so he, like, scribbled out the name Carnath and wrote in Kirk.
yeah.
And the only other thing of note, which was another fun thing I saw here, somehow the German version of the book was erroneously published with art from Disney's The Black Hole on the cover.
Are you serious?
Instead of Star Trek art. 100% serious. They used, like, a poster for the Black Hole.
That's weird, man.
Yeah, I don't know how you make that kind of a mistake. That's like going, like, you know... That would be like if you went to McDonald's and said, "Yeah, I want a 20-piece nuggets," and then you pulled up to the window and, like, they handed you a dead fish.
And it's a copy of Disney's The Black Hole.
And then they hand you a DVD of The Black Hole by Disney, yes.
That's amazing.
So this one only had a summary, but I want to point it out.
Thank you for bringing this into my life.
No problem. This one,
yeah,
we only had a summary for it, but I feel it's worth noting for the cover, the Prometheus Design. The front cover depicts Kirk and Spock with sort of jacked, bald yellow dude with devil horns posing on a cliff behind them. It is absolutely fucking alluring in that I immediately want to know what the hell is going on. Unfortunately, the Memory Beta article is lacking anything but the summary on the book cover itself, which indicates the Enterprise crew are investigating a sudden wave of violence breaking out among the Helvans. Mass riots, revolutions, horrible tortures, and soon find that it is apparently an experiment by some unimaginably powerful being that ends up involving them as well. Kirk begins having violent hallucinations and is removed from command in favor of Spock, who begins giving orders that quickly become cruel. Apart from this, I am absolutely in the dark on this book. What could it be? An early draft of one of a handful of scenarios featuring alien beings performing experiments on the Enterprise D crew? Some sort of proto-Q? Satan? The CIA? MK Ultra? Illuminati? Infowars.com?
Where's Poochie?
Literally, the only other info that I could scrounge up related to this is that the yellow Satan man on the cover is apparently one of the Helvans.
Of course.
The race undergoes a period called Phalat, during which the male's horns grow longer. Fascinating, Captain.
Subtle.
Yeah.
Very. But before I go to bed, I have to do this. I have to feel like I'm contributing real fast.
Okay.
Dr. Julian Bashir edged along the corridor of the habitat ring, perplexed at the typically vague directions he had been given by his Cardassian friend Garrick. Eventually, he arrived at the tailor's quarters and rang his doorbell. Garrick stepped out and grinned at the doctor. "Well, Garrick, I made it, despite your directions."
Oh, no.
Julian started. Garrick's grin widened. "Ah, my dear doctor, welcome," he replied cheerfully. "I hope you're prepared for an unforgettable luncheon." "Yes," Julian replied cautiously, stepping into his sprint. "Yes,
Where
this
did
is
you
exactly
find
what you're thinking. This is steamed hams, but it's Garishir."
I'm
That's
gonna
great.
saw my own legs off. Not related to that, though. That's just an aside. If you're gonna go, you need to hear the summary for this book, okay? Because it is fucking incredible.
Sure, go ahead.
This
Go
is
ahead.
the Abode of Life. The book's cover summary tells us of the world of Mercan, where despite being technologically advanced, they deny the existence of other inhabited worlds. Their sun, Mercaniad, is throwing radioactive blasts at their world, causing disastrous events known as the Ordeal. Of course, some sort of disaster strands the Enterprise near the planet, and apparently Kirk is left with the choice of either leaving them alone and dooming them, or literally attacking the fucking sun. Seriously, the exact quote is, "Attack the sun itself." Fucking golden.
Okay.
I feel
Imagine
traumatized.
Imagine watching an episode of the show and Kirk says, "All right, everyone at battle stations, ready to fire photon torpedoes. We're attacking the sun." You would turn the show off and go read to your children.
All right, Tom, I need you to add some reverb to my voice for this. "Greetings, Captain Kirk. I am God. Crew, attack God."
It's either that or leave him alone.
Yeah.
Those are our two options.
Between the options of leave it alone or blow it the fuck up, I know what I'm going with. Boop, boop, boop.
Okay, so
Ladies and gentlemen, God is dead. Clown horse.
Okay, so the Enterprise is studying gravitational anomalies in the Orion arm when one of them accidentally hurls them through a fold in space, damaging the warp engines and stranding them so far away it would take hundreds of years to get home unless they can find supplies to fix their engines. Their sensors detect mass...
All right, crew, attack gravity.
We're gonna kill gravity or die trying.
I love this version of Kirk we've come up with that literally destroys anything that gets in his way.
So their sensors detect mass transporter use on the planet Mercan, which employs exclusive use of transporters for travel across the planet's surface. Kirk beams down with a landing party, discovering a tense situation between three major groups on the planet. The Guardians, who have discovered the method for predicting the explosions on Mercaniad that caused the Ordeal and have built protective keeps to shield the populace, have used this as a way of gaining power. The Proctors have been placated by being made their police force. The Technics, however, have begun experimenting with banned technologies such as gene therapy and are engaging in the heretical act of theorizing about extraplanetary life. This,
oh,
of course,
you said band as in BANNED, not band as in like guitars and drums.
They were researching Fender amps.
They were researching the mythical double guitar neck.
That cannot be done! Not on my planet!
I'm still just stuck on The Ordeal.
Of course.
Okay, my Star Trek cover band is The Ordeal.
And so we all know, of
The
course, that
Ordeal featuring Stevo.
These were, of course, Columbus's 3 ships. The
Featuring
Guardians.
Ian on clown horn.
Columbus's 3 ships. The Guardians, the Proctors, and the Technics.
And the Santa Maria. Wait,
Yeah.
shit, no.
So the
Sorry, did you
Guardians
say the Chex Mix?
Yes, the Chex Mix. The Chex Mix are researching banned technologies such as rye chips. Damn it, man! You can't make chips out of rye bread! You're insane!
200 years later, making quinoa chips, we've made a grave mistake.
We've gone too far!
What have science wrought?
Captain, I'm frightened.
Gentlemen, battle stations, it's time to destroy agriculture.
The entire concept of agriculture. I'm crying.
Hog.
Okay. Let me get my breath so I can finish this. Oh my god.
I think I know why Tom brings me back every time he does this, but he still regrets it.
So the Guardians.
I think my throat just
refused-
closed.
He loves it when it happens. He hates it in editing.
The Guardians refuse to believe that Kirk and his crew are from space, and instead put forward that they're some kind of constructs built by the Technics. They're taken into custody along with a Technic named Orun, and the Guardians decide to leave half the away team on the surface as another radiation blast approaches, and to bring the others to be experimented upon. Obviously, they escape and manage to get back to the ship, but it turns out the Enterprise's shielding somehow isn't strong enough to withstand the ordeal. Apparently, Spock suddenly realizes... Once again, Spock just pulls something out of his ass, and it isn't that crystal.
Crystal,
Yes!
there it is.
He suddenly realizes...
Love how all 3 of us clicked on that immediately.
Apparently, Spock suddenly realizes that firing 2 photon torpedoes at the sun will either stabilize it or cause a supernova. Rather than do something more sensible, like routing all power to the shields for the duration of the ordeal, Kirk authorizes this move that could potentially kill not only everyone on the ship, but also everyone on Mercan as well. Thankfully, it works in their favor.
Somehow.
Kirk then decides the Prime Directive is fucking bullshit and brings some Proctors and Technics on board to show them that he wasn't lying. He then brings some Guardians on board as well, and as all Zealots do when they see that they're wrong, they quickly relent and admit that they were wrong. The social order remains much the same, with the Guardians making law, but the Technics are now free to research whatever they want. Because he fucked everything up, Spock suggests Kirk try bandaging this boo-boo by offering them Federation membership, and once the Technics help fix their engines, they leave with the 2 of them, with 2 of the Technics aboard as ambassadors.
I don't think Kirk can do that.
Yeah, I don't think Kirk has any right to just go like, hey, you guys want to be in the Federation? He's just on the fucking corner with a trench coat full of fake membership cards. Hey, want to be in the Federation? But that's...
Let me show you how stable I am. Ladies and gentlemen, battle stations, destroy the Enterprise.
The photon torpedo just comes out of the tube and then just sucks right back into it like the film's reversed.
Yes! That's exactly what I was thinking.
Just these last few plot points already sound like just an array of nonsense. Like, it goes from solving
That's my favorite thing about this one.
He solves every problem that they're all suffering from by firing 2 torpedoes into their sun, which just kind of fixes everything because shrug. And then he's like, so you want to be in the Federation? I guess I already broke the Prime Directive, but...
honey, I'm so sorry. I burnt the roast. 2 photon torpedoes, please.
That's what I mean, is like this story is goes so fucking hard.
Again, my roast is ruined.
Did you just steam Tams the photon?
Yes.
Yes. But no, the story.
But what if I were to fire 2 photon torpedoes at my roast?
What if I were to purchase Klingon weaponry and disguise it as our own?
Ladies and gentlemen, battle stations, destroy the Krusty Burger.
Okay, no, but seriously, this story starts out with like an okay premise. Yeah. It's like, all right, the Enterprise is stuck again. That's fine. They've got a planet that's got some weird social order going on. All right, that's classic Trek. It just takes a hard fucking right off of the tracks and plunges over a bridge several thousand feet into an icy ravine by going, let's fight the fucking sun. And then he just goes, all right, well, we fucking blew it, so let's just bring them all on board and say, hey, this is space. You don't believe in it, but now you do, fuckers. Guess you can be in the Federation because I control that.
I don't know how I forgot 3 times that it's as stupid as he literally fights the sun until you say it again, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is the dumbest thing I've ever read.
Yeah! Yes! I want to know how you can be a writer of science fiction and sit down and go, how can we fix the sun? Blow it up, I guess?
Don't count them all out. You say science fiction writers, and that still includes L. Ron Hubbard, so...
I did a Peter Chimera fanfic where Master Chief solves a black hole by shooting it with a rocket, and that was a parody.
Yeah, and yet here we are.
That could have been printed.
Apparently, that's what I was about to say. Here we are in a professionally published novel, probably written by somebody who already worked at the company, somebody who had a job, and they just said, blow up the sun, I guess?
But then the sun doesn't blow up, it just fixes everything.
I know, it fixes it. That's the thing. It's like, okay, how do we fix the sun? Throw explosives at it. It's like...
Wait a minute. Did Mr. Burns write this fan fiction?
No, I'm a man from another town you've never heard of. My name is Mr.
I'm Mr. Snurub.
Are we done with the Abode of Life?
That's the end of the Abode of Life. That's literally 5 books into this list. The list on my side of my notes here is so long, it fades at the bottom and has a scroll bar, so we got a lot more to cover.
I was going to say, I didn't know anybody took this more seriously than you, Tom, but I realized that's a backhanded compliment to both of you.
Yeah, God, what do you
think
I'm...
stupid crap very seriously.
I take dumb shit incredibly seriously. That's the cornerstone of my career is dumb shit.
I do too. That's why I use like $30,000 like software synths and VSTs to make mic spam.
I've told this story before, but there was one time where I popped into Zero X Diamond's stream, and he was playing one of the Deus Ex games. I think it was Human Revolution.
Could have been. That's one of the two I've played.
And I just say a quick hello, and he's like, "Hi, evil genius. We're just trying to see how many refrigerators we can push into the sewer."
Yes!
And that's when I said to myself, "Yes, these are my people."
Yes. I took every refrigerator in China and threw it in the sewer.
All right, is there a Star Trek video game where I can fire photon torpedoes at the sun?
There better be.
There almost certainly has to be one where you can do it. I don't know that it's going to fix the sun in it, but you can do it. And that's the part that matters.
No. My goal is not to fix the sun. My goal is to merely fire at the sun and hope the problem goes away.
If anyone listening is a budding video game developer, they need to make a starship simulation game where you can fix problems by shooting torpedoes at the sun. You can try to get the Star Trek license, but even if they don't give it to you, just make up your own fake federation, and this needs to be a thing.
Star Journey, where they join the loose association of planets.
That's what it's called, the loose association of planets.
Yeah, and they take the USS Business Venture.
How dare you assume things about their casual sex life? Today I learned Dune Thumper was not sexual innuendo.
That's it for today. Thank you to everyone for listening. Please review us on whatever you're listening to us on. It doesn't have to be a good review. Any review is fine. If you're not sure what to say, just say these people are a bunch of sad loser nerd monkeys.
Gentlemen, fire photon torpedoes at the reviews.
Until next time.
If you don't know what to say that. That's what I say.
I'm gonna be getting notifications all day, and it's just gonna be people saying, "Fire at the sun."
You're welcome. You're welcome.